and see about when that's going to pull through. Just bear with me.
Yeah, no
Used to
problem.
be so easy, and it's not anymore. There we
Yeah.
go. Hey, it's working. We're going live. We're going live. It's taking a long time.
I know. It takes at
There we
least
go.
seconds. Yeah.
It does. Right, we are live, Lisa. Welcome to anyone who's watching this live, anyone who's watching this on catch up. This is my first live call since I've got back from Iceland. Still feeling a bit yucky, but seeing the beautiful Lisa Fox on the screen has made me feel much better already. So, Lisa is here to teach us all about how we can feel into our star quality, and that helps us make money faster, right? Which is what we're all here to do.
Pretty much,
So,
yes.
yeah, so Lisa, over to you. Tell us about you, tell us about what you do, and when you're ready, feel free to share.
Okay. So, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting, and I love talking about star quality. I'm coming to you live from inside a disco ball, as you can see. So this is like star quality.
Love
I
the
mean,
disco ball.
something tiny behind you. um. Anyway, I'll introduce myself a little bit. So, um, I've coined the word starpreneur recently. We'll see if we keep going with it, but I really feel like this describes what I do. Because what it means is that I focus on helping entrepreneurs, especially online, build their personal brand, build their star quality, and become highly visible and influential in their field. So I combine entrepreneurship with the art of being a star, somebody who not only excels in business but also shines brightly, attracts attention, all the rest. Okay, so my core belief is that being exceptional at what you do can make you really good money. But star power is what takes you to millions, right? Um, and because for me, before I became a coach and a mentor, I lived my life on stage and screen. And since I was a child, I played music, I sang, I danced, I acted, I won awards, I performed in front of millions, traveled the world, and I even starred on national television. And since I was young, I've also been entrepreneurial and always making money from my gifts, right? So I believe that if you're gifted, you should be paid the highest. But often, as we know, that is not the case. Um, the ones with the star power are actually the ones who make the most money. And I know for me, and I don't know how you feel about this, for a long time, that did not feel fair at all.
Definitely not. Because oftentimes we've got better stuff and we're better at it. But then the celebrity type, they just capture everyone's shiny object attention, don't they?
That's right. But the thing about it is, you can be gifted and have star quality. You can be gifted and be the shiny object. But it won't feel fair that the people who are shiny objects um, are, getting all the success that they're getting if you don't truly believe that you can also have the same. If you don't believe that you actually can have star power as much as you can have the gift that you already have, right?
I'm loving this, Lisa, because in money alchemy, we have sacred money archetypes, and there's an archetype called the celebrity, and it's all about attracting people through demonstration. And it's my lowest one, and it literally makes me recoil because I'm so far away from that. I'm like the messy hair, no makeup kind of thing. So I'm really excited to hear more
Yeah,
about
and
this.
like I'll say this, star quality has got nothing to do with hair or makeup.
No,
Uh,
see,
it's got
that's a story I'm telling myself, right?
it's, it's got nothing to do with living inside a disco ball. Really, it's got nothing to do with any. Star quality is internal. It's internal,
Mm,
and star
yes.
quality is something that you can curate based off of what you already are, who you already are without changing a single thing. Okay.
I love that. I love that so much because
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to change. And now you've just said I don't have to change, like who I
Nope.
am. Yes.
Nope.
Yay.
So I remember when I was in acting school, my teacher saying about this one guy in my class, he's going to make it. I was like, how do you know? All right. Now, obviously, he knew because he'd seen so many people. He'd been working in that acting school for like over a decade, so he'd seen a lot of people coming through. Um, but this guy that he pointed out, like, okay, I asked him. I was like, "Who's going to make it?" And I thought he was going to say me. He was like him, and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "He's not the best actor. Like, that's not. No, I do not accept." And okay, what he did have was he was very confident and he was very good looking, right? And I was like, really? I was like, confident and good looking? I'm fairly confident. I'm pretty good looking ish,
You're
But I
beautiful.
what I have that this guy does not have in spade is talent. Now, don't get me wrong, I do believe that with acting in any craft, you can get better and better and better at it. But like at that point, I was like, he's not such a brilliant actor, and I am, right?
Mm.
And you cannot tell me he's going to make it and I'm not. But guess what?
He made it.
Straight out of college, straight out of acting training, he fucking made it.
Ah, damn
Made
it.
it big. He was hired for this big viral ad, and then that led him into TV shows. He's been in Hollywood movies, like the whole thing. Guess who did not make it
You, you,
initially?
you.
Initially, I did,
Mm.
and for 3 years I struggled, right?
Oh.
But during those 3 years, I mean, I didn't get one job as an actor in the first 3 years out of college. I
Oof.
won so many people in my class, like, and so many other people that I knew who got into acting around the same time as me, who were no better than I was as an actor, make it. Now, okay, acting is very, very competitive. And yes, only a few people do make it. But I just saw so many people flying past me who I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. But it wasn't until I produced a show and I was sitting on the other side of the table that it actually all clicked for me because I saw talented, confident actors come in one after the other, but only a few of them had something,
Mm.
just something. And I was like, oh, what is that something? Like, what is it that's making this person stand out and that person not, even though they're like as good as each other? It was star quality. It was star quality.
Ah.
Yeah. And I really had a light bulb moment. And the reason, like that, it felt truly exciting for me because it was like, okay, I get it. Okay, I see it. It is not
Mm.
like some people, and it doesn't matter how good they are. Some people don't have that star quality, and some people do. But the reason I was excited about it was because I in that like I'm such a fucking nerd. Like I gobble up books. Like I was like, if this thing can be learned, I will learn it.
Mhm.
And I will be the one to prove that you can learn it, right? Because God knows I did not have it at the time.
Mm.
Even though I'd had a full lifetime on stage. I mean, I came into acting quite late in life. I was in my late 20s. But I, I it was different things, but none of them required this level. None of them were as competitive as acting. And so that was the moment when I realized, okay, well, I don't have star quality, but if it can be learned, I will learn it. And I did. And once I unlocked it, I started getting seen for auditions, which I hadn't been seen for much auditions before at all. I started landing paying gigs. I started to build a really successful career as an actor. And
Mm.
then when I became a mother, I realized that actually my destiny was not to be an actor at all. I was at the height of my success as an actor when I got pregnant for the first time, and I realized, oh, I was actually born to teach this.
Mm.
And my journey taught me how to master and embody star power. And now I empower talented, gifted, exceptional people like you to shine in their greatness and like really achieve extraordinary success. So it's my life work. And I really would love to share some of that today with you, a couple of key pieces.
I think we're probably a bit interested in that, Lisa. I'm kidding. Trying to play it cool. No, please do. I'm like on the edge of my seat here.
Good, 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 good. I mean, this is, you know, thank you for saying that to me, because I'm so excited by this, and this is generally the reaction I'm getting. It's
Mm,
taken me, even though I've been doing this work behind the scenes for years, it's taken me this long to really articulate it like this,
mm,
and
mm.
the reaction is kind of, yeah, it's
Yeah,
exciting.
it's like gimme, gimme, gimme.
So, I'm gonna I'm gonna give you a couple of pieces of it today, right? Um, but really, what I want to give you, obviously, it's a lot more than this, but these key pieces you can immediately implement, and it'll help you to identify your own star qualities. Whatever doesn't come out today, I'm going to guarantee you right now, it will come out over the next few days. Don't expect yourself to have like all the answers today, but just stay open for the next few days, and I'll give you a few tips on like how to keep this top of mind over the next few days. So um and when you know what your star qualities are, you can start to use them immediately and really intentionally in your brand, in your content, in your marketing, in your online presence. And you should start to see a difference immediately. You should start to see a difference in how people respond to you, how they see you, how magnetic you become, your sales, like everything, right? Because if you're truly good at what you do, and I know that you are, you deserve to make a shit ton of money from your gifts, and your star power is going to determine your ability to do that. So here's the thing. The problem is right now that I bet, and you can tell me if I am on the money here, or if it resonates at all, or you can also say, shut the fuck up, that's not true, right? So, but I bet that there's a part of you that feels invisible and undervalued, even though you're brilliant and
Yeah,
and even though you're confident.
yeah.
Am I right? Yep.
Oh my God, yes.
So
So many yeses.
is this also true? Your clients tell you that you are the shit, the whole shit, and nothing but the shit. Like you get really good results with your clients.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My clients get better results than me sometimes, and I'm still like, well, I'm
Yeah.
not feeling it.
Okay. So this is like for me, when I work with somebody who says that sentence, that's the thing that I love to hear the most, because I'm like, in when you do this work, you blow up. When you're capable of getting clients better results than you're getting yourself, or when you're capable of getting your clients like amazing results, full stop.
Yeah.
But like the indicator that if they're getting, the same or better results than you, that's a real sign that you star power needs to be your biggest focus, right? So but the thing is, right, the problem is that your clients who've paid to work with you can see that you're amazing, but you're not seen publicly in that way. Like there might be little hints of it. People who see you like online, they might be like, there's something about her, but they're not coming to you in droves. And because of that, you're making a fraction of what you should be making. Okay. So um and tell me if this is true. Do you often see other people with less experience who are less gifted, getting more recognition, opportunities, and they're kind of growing like wildfire?
Yes. And part of me is really celebrating them. And then another part of me is like, it's not fair.
Like that, and this is the thing. So we want celebrating them is really good, but celebrating them just for the sake of celebrating them, and then at the same time saying, "I'm never going to get there,"
Mm,
is so frustrating. It's
mm,
so frustrating. Okay.
yeah.
I want you to stand out. I want you to attract more clients, better clients, clients who'll pay you more money. And I want you to be seen as a true industry leader, and you can be, right? I know the impact that you are here to make in the world. Um, but when you lack the star power, the biggest thing that holds you back from achieving the impact and the income you were born for is this ability to really take up space and shine bright. So It can be learned. So let me ask you the
Good news.
question. Do you would you consider yourself a fairly confident person?
Yes. I have a
Great.
lot of anxiety and I'm also very confident.
Anxiety and confidence live in the body all at the same time. That's
Yeah,
what that's
they
like.
do. It's a conundrum.
Yes. Yeah. But that's good, right? So I most people who I work with, and it's almost like I it's not almost, it's kind of a baseline requirement for working with me is that you're already confident, right?
Mm,
But the thing is, right, star power is, and this is the good news, it's 90% confidence, right? So it's a really good start that you're
yeah,
confident. But
yeah.
I want to break down what star power is made up of, right? And this is going to like blow your mind, I think. So, star power is made up of 30% personal confidence. Now, what I mean by that is you're confident in who you are. You know you're a good person or you like the person that you are, right? You know, personal confidence is like feeling comfortable in your skin.
Mm,
It's about like knowing that, like, even if, like, for example, I have social anxiety, right? But me, the same person who has social anxiety, knows that when I walk into a room and I start having conversations with people at the end of the night or a day or whatever it is, people remark on me. Like, they're always like, Lisa is so interesting, or she's so whatever. Like, I know I make an impact on people
mm,
personally, right?
mm.
So I have personal confidence, right? Would you consider that you have that 30% pretty dialed in? I
Yeah,
mean, you don't need to
yeah.
score 30%, but
No, I think I'm pretty. I've done a lot of work in recent years, and I'm really comfortable with who I am and who I'm reconnecting more and more with who I am, and the more I
yes,
do that, the more I like myself, and I'm pretty okay in my own body with my mind. So
yeah, amazing. So that's 30%. Congratulations, right?
tick.
Amazing. The next 30% is professional confidence, right? And that means that you know you're good at what you do. Your clients will, like we said earlier, like your clients tell you, I've gotten amazing results, like, or that your clients will be like, oh my god, this has been explained to me before in so many different ways and I never
Mm,
got it until now. Or like they'll just like they'll refer you to other people,
mm.
and it's also just that sense of grounded, like, confidence, even without anybody else telling you. You're like, I'm shit hot at this.
Yeah.
I'm happy doing this work. I feel powerful doing this work. And often when somebody has professional confidence, they're like, you know what? If somebody was to send a million clients to me tomorrow, I would deal with that. I would be able to deliver to them. I'm good with that. I'm not afraid of that. I'm all good. Now, 30%, yes, ish.
I'd probably say I'm about 25% on that. Yeah, actually, the
Yeah.
million made me go, oh, but then I was like, yeah, you know what? Everything's set up.
That's
I
a
could do
bit of
that.
an exaggeration. I'm not a dime. I mean, didn't mean a million. Even actually,
No, but I like the concept.
yeah. But it's like if you send a million people to me tomorrow, I'd probably shit my pants. But
Yeah.
I still would probably be able to kind of come back to you like,
Yeah.
no, I'm really good at this. It's all right. I'll
Yeah.
be okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's where I'd be like, ah, and then, right, let's do this.
yeah. So look, I would rate you really highly on professional confidence as
Mm,
well. Now,
mm,
here's where it gets interesting. The final 30% of the confidence piece is basically what I describe as the ability to stand in an online stage in front of everyone who's ever known you and millions of people who don't know you at all, and actually showcase verbally, visually, audibly who you are, how good you are at what you do, and say all of that with a big fat spotlight shining down on top of you.
mm. Not comfortable with that.
And so that 30%
Mm,
is this is where so many people are like, I don't get it. I'm really confident. Like, why is this not translating? It's a different type of confidence. And there's
Mm,
nothing wrong with you that you don't naturally have that. But that is the bit that we work on in Star Power, right?
mm.
And then the final 30%, or sorry, 30%, final 10% is what I call magical fairy dust. It's a
I have
little bit
that.
like a je ne sais quoi, but actually, when we get that last 30% dialed in, the magical fairy dust kind of happens all by itself.
Yeah.
We kind of go, oh, the magical fairy dust is the bit that we, funny enough, believe that we will have once we've made millions. Like it'll be like, yeah, once I have already proven how good I am and how much money I'm making and how like my business is working so well, then I will have that magical fairy dust,
Mm.
right?
See, I
But
feel like I do have it, but I don't have the last 30%.
perfect.
I'm kind
Perfect.
of like, I've got the magic dust, it's ready to go.
Okay. Okay.
I need the
Perfect.
confidence to sprinkle it everywhere.
Yes, well, this is kind of what I mean. But it's like, I bet there is a part of you that is like, I'll feel totally confident sprinkling it everywhere once I've sort of proven
Y-
it to myself. Once I am making that money, once I do have those things coming in. And this is what I mean. Like actually
Yeah.
we have to find a way to sprinkle it before we actually have that evidence. And that's,
Mm,
as you know, manifesting as well,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
it
this
is.
is
Yeah.
why I always say confidence and manifesting are kind of the same thing,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
they are. Yeah.
They are, but so I just apply it I think an interesting way. Okay, so for the purpose of this exercise today, I'm going to just assume that we've got the first 60% dialed in, and I think we do. Like that first 60%, you're scoring highly on the first two types of confidence. And we're going to just focus on that final 40%. And in order to focus on that final 40% standing out on the online stage and that magical stardust, we are going to cover three key ways for you to access that. Okay. So in my coaching, I believe that success is part energetic, part strategic. And so I absolutely teach both. And I think that both are required for success, but they don't sit like this. They sit like this. Like the energetic part is like, has way more weight,
Yeah.
right? You can fuck the strategy piece up. You can get it so imperfect. You can, like, it can be just all kind of done pretty wrongly. And I also kind of think like having a strategy is just kind of having a plan, right?
Yeah.
And they're meant to be intuitive, and they're meant to be creative, and you're meant to tinker with them and whatever. And there's some fundamentals that I teach that I think need to be dialed in, but the energy piece is going to be so much more potent for your actual success. And
Mm,
so today we're speaking about just the energetics, right? So do you have a pen and paper there?
I do. I've been taking notes.
Great. Yeah, sure. I saw you do. Okay. So I want you to write a little list, and you can write as I'm talking. Your unique skills, talents, and strengths. Now, I encourage you to really like just write down as quickly as possible everything that comes into your head. And if the word unique makes you go, oh God, I don't know if that's unique, just take the word unique out and just write skills, talents, strengths, because I think often when we put the word unique in, it makes people overthink it. And I also think that sometimes we have very unique skills, talents, and strengths that we take for granted because they're natural to us. And so we don't consider them unique, but they actually are. So your skills, talents, strengths. Another thing that could help you with this if you're stuck in any way, or if you want to brainstorm a bit more, is like, what do people consistently praise you for? If you were to believe every single compliment you ever got, would you what are the things that you might be leaving out if you were to actually think about it that way? It's like, oh, if I actually accepted the compliments, I could add this in too. So I truly believe, even though this might sound quite basic bitch, right? I and for me, I'll often think like something like this, an exercise like this. I'm like, well, I fucking I know. And not I really do have to write down my unique talents, skills. I mean, like I know those, but I do this exercise myself uh, at intervals, and I've done it at least once a year for the last 3 years, and it's startling how the list has evolved and
Mm.
how much more in tune with myself I am. And it's not that my skills, talents, or strengths have changed, but I've absolutely started to own them. And as I see more evidence of certain ones, I'm like, oh my God, I've always had that, you know? So the thing about this exercise is that you're giving yourself feedback. We don't give ourselves feedback enough, and we will listen to other people's feedback much easier, much more easily than we listen to our own feedback, because we're often looking for validation. However, when we give ourselves feedback and really look in the mirror, it's actually way more potent. It's actually
Mm.
like you discover things about yourself that you'd never acknowledged before. Um, and what we do with this, well, actually, well, let me just find out what came up for you there first before I'll say what we do with it.
Right. So yeah, I felt a little bit of a twinge actually in my solar plexus when I started this, and then I've got a list of I'm good at explaining things in a way that other people haven't heard before.
Mm,
Um, I go deep. I don't just do the surface level stuff,
mm,
which people say to me is like, no one's ever done this with me before. No one's ever asked me that. I'm a powerful healer. Um, I'm a supportive but very real coach. I call people out on their bullshit, which people like because they can't hide anywhere. The people who are ready like that.
yep.
I've been told I'm inspiring, I'm good with people, I'm really good at the techie stuff. I love a funnel.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm a prolific marketer. Not a very good marketer, but I'm a prolific marketer. Sometimes volume helps.
yeah.
um, some people call me magical. I have loads of great ideas, often too many, but I get great results for clients. I'm kind, I have good boundaries, and I have a tendency to over deliver, which people seem to think is not a good thing, but I kind of do.
I do. I'm a very proud over deliverer.
Mm, yeah.
Just a slight bit of coaching.
Go for it.
Over delivering is not a problem. Do you know
No.
what's a problem? Is over giving.
Yes. Yeah.
Two very different energies.
Yeah.
Overgiving, it's like I'm manipulating you. I'm trying to get you to feel a certain way about me. I'm insecure.
Yeah.
Over-delivering is like I'm giving from abundance. I'm giving from
Yeah.
overflow. I'm surprising and delighting you. You've already signed up. The expectations have been set, and anything that I give you beyond what you were expecting is the most amazing gift, and you will receive it in a very different way than if I was saying, "Here's something extra for you. Please like me more."
Yeah.
Very, very different.
Yeah.
Very, very different.
Yeah, no, it's definitely over delivering, and sometimes that comes from a place of ease for me. Sometimes it's easier to deliver to everyone than to segment and add to certain accounts. So it's definitely it serves me as well as them. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. So those are great. And I'm really delighted that you've witnessed yourself there to that level. And I'm really delighted to hear that you had that little twinge and that you just continued on. That's a really good sign,
Mm,
because it's like you're not just doing an exercise, right? You're actually going into something here.
yeah.
So the next thing I want you to do, and you won't be doing this now, obviously, but is I want you to go and ask one or two people, preferably two, to give you an answer to this as well, right? Say, hey, can you tell me what my unique skills, perspectives, you know, talents, gifts are from what you've witnessed? Um, Now, I say this, it sounds obvious, but I think it's really important to say this. Only ask two people who you are absolutely sure love you to death and only want the very best for you. We don't want any frenemies
No.
giving you like underhanded, what you call those compliments that are actually really insults?
Backhanded compliments.
We don't
Yeah.
want handed
No.
compliments. We don't want somebody who's like going, I don't want her to get ahead of me. I don't want, like, if there's any, like, I have people who are I am very, very close to who I would never dream of asking this to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love them dearly. But there's like, we are complex human beings. And nobody's all good or bad. And there are certain dynamics that come into different relationships that are not brilliant, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be in the relationship, but you shouldn't
Yeah.
ask the question,
Yeah. Yeah. And
right?
you know who those people are. I had this tendency of asking those people, and it was like every time I was disappointed. And I remember Mark saying to me, my husband said, "Well, why do you keep asking them? They do it every time." I'm like, "Oh yeah."
The first time that I did this exercise, I asked one of my best friends,
Mm, mm,
um, and I felt wretched afterwards, like
yeah.
because I, I was like, the things that she said they sounded good, but they felt really bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would, like, is that, like, I really trusted that it was the truth. And then I sort of, I was on the start of my personal development journey at that point, and I was like, this does not feel right. And so I'm just not actually, I'm gonna like just slash that and like leave it and not pass any remarks and just ask somebody else.
Yeah.
And when I asked somebody else, I was like, oh, that felt better. And this is not about like, oh, compliment me. But what we don't, this is not an exercise in constructive criticism either,
No.
right?
No, it's about talents and strengths, right?
Talents and strengths. That's
Yeah.
all. This is like, it's all we're asking. But what you should see when you get when you ask two people, and they don't have to be people like clients or anything like that. This can be like your husband, this can be your sister, it could be your best friend, anybody but who's known you a long time. So what you should see is that there will be some things that match up from what you've said. There'll be some
Yeah.
things that surprise you. There'll be
Mm,
some things that like you hadn't thought of, but right? And what I want you to do is pick out your favorite two or three of the things. Now, any more than that is going to be overwhelming, right?
mhm,
What we're doing here is not bringing all of this into our content. We're going to assume that all of it is in us, and so what's in us can't help but come out.
mm,
But we're going to be really intentional about curating a couple of pieces of this into our content that feel really important for our ideal client. Because here's the other thing: star power is actually not about you at all.
mm.
You're not going to have star power and then start showing up going, I'm amazing, I'm brilliant, oh my God, well, maybe you will, I don't know. But well, actually, what it's really, star power is really about our ideal client. It's
Mm,
about helping them to, and us to connect with them and them to connect with us, right? So anyway, pick a few of these, three maximum, and I want you then to start really being intentional about bringing these specific things on stage with you. And you're going to increase your star power this way. It's like when I was studying acting, it's like the character, but like nobody when you're playing a character, you don't have to know everything about the character because actually you're bringing a lot of yourself, on stage with you, right?
mm,
But you do for this as an actor, for the character really to come to life on stage, there's a couple of things that you need to bring from that character, key elements that you need the audience to see so that they connect with this character.
mm,
Those are the things that you're going to look at here, and so go, okay, this is what I actually think my ideal client needs me to bring with me on stage so that they can connect on a deeper level with me and
mm.
see themselves through me as well. So for example, it could be that you bring the let me see, no bullshit, and um I don't know, like it could be any of them. You could go no bullshit and healer, right? You could say, okay, I'm going. Those are the two things, the two characteristics, the two strengths, the two, perspectives, whatever, into my content, and I'm going to shine those brightly from the stage because that's what my ideal client needs,
Mm,
right? You get it?
yeah.
And again, it's that thing. It's like this is what people really thank me for. Like
Mm,
if people really thank you generally for like, I just love how you break things down and you give it to me straight, right? I just love how like I thought I was going on a money journey because I wanted to make more money, and I have. However, I've healed my inner child on the way.
mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just about bringing those things forward in your content. Okay, simple. Right. Next thing. Um, what makes you different?
Mm,
Okay. Identify your traits, quirks, perspectives that make you really stand out. Stop trying to blend in and start highlighting what really actually sets you apart.
mm,
Now, this is something that can be a little bit like it can get people going, oh, I don't know if there's anything really like different about me, or am I quirky anyway? It's not like you don't have to be like a quirky person. And I think that you kind of probably are anyway. But for a lot of people, like they're like, oh, I'm not quirky though. I'm not saying, are you the most quirky person? Like we're not teenagers. We're not like, I'm just so different. No. It's actually just going like, what are things that people have told me that like, or that I just know that makes me stand out. Um,
mm,
I'll give you an example of one of my clients, and this is like more for all of your, because I don't think you're going to struggle with this one, but maybe some of your people will struggle with this one. So one of my clients, Megan, who I worked with for about a year, in the first few months of working together, this was like the biggest thing that we worked on, because what I noticed was that in her content and in her online presence, she came across like absolutely an expert because she was. She came across as quite like very professional, quite serious. Like you could really take her seriously. And it's not that she wasn't like, it's not that she was serious and straight faced all the time. She was, she's smiling and laughing, but the tone of her content was always quite serious, factual, expert, right?
mm,
And yet, whenever she told me about her clients, whenever she talked about her program, I had FOMO. Like she was like teaching people how to lose weight, basically, right? She was a fitness coach. But and I was like, I wasn't an ideal client for her. I didn't really have any weight to lose, but I wanted to join her program because they were fucking laughing their asses off all the time. And some of the stories that she would tell me, I was like, you guys, it sounds like you meet up on a Tuesday night and just have a wild time together. And she's like, yes. And I was like, that's what everybody needs to know.
mm, mm,
That is what people need to know. And they can get to know that not just by you saying we have a great time. They will get to know that by you bringing your humor into your content, by you bringing your lightheartedness into your content. Tell more stories. Bring us in a little bit. Like I was like, if you even like a couple of things as well. Like was like just like telling a couple of stories about what goes on, the shenanigans on a Tuesday night in your program, um, and bringing your own personality a little bit more into the mix. I was like, I know that your business is going to blow up. Now, when she started working with me, she had quite a successful business in the past, but she was brand new to coaching,
mm.
and she was like making probably, I think, 2 to 3K months. I don't want to tell lies, but I can't really remember. But it was low thousands, right?
Yeah.
Um, and when she started bringing this part of herself into her content, she blew up. Like she made, I think by the end of that year, she'd made 120 something thousand dollars in her first year
Nice.
of coach.
Nice.
But and okay, of course, it wasn't just because she started being hilarious in her content. It was other things too, but that was a huge, huge shift that really attracted people to her.
Mm.
So tell me this: what is your thing? So, like, what are some of the things that you're
So again, I wrote magical, but that's something that people always say about me is that I'm magical. I'm definitely quirky. I wrote that down and down to earth. But I also personify money, which no one else seems to do. I talk about money as though she is a feminine being, a friend, someone that we want to spend time with. And um, yeah, so that's as far as I got with that. I'm not sure if I'm funny.
But again, whenever I give an example like this, people are like, "Oh, but I'm not that." It's not about being what somebody else is like. You don't have
Yeah.
to, but it is about being like really acknowledging these parts of you and
Mm,
bringing that more into your content, into your online presence. Um, and like for me, there's it's so easy. It's so not easy. It's actually hard, but it's so tempting to see other really successful people and see their traits and their quirks and their things that make them stand out and kind of go, okay, I'm going to bring a bit of that into my content. And it doesn't work because if it's not
that's not
you,
you.
it's
Yeah.
not going to work.
Yeah.
Um, and don't get me wrong, I actually think that it's really useful sometimes to see somebody who has some of the same quirks as you or some of the same characteristics that make you stand out, um, and see them embodying it
Mm.
and seeing that example and like not copying, but like taking the inspiration
Yeah.
and implementing it into your own business. That can be a really good gateway, but it starts from knowing what yours are.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
And so like things like personifying money, like if like that's a great one. Like things like, you said you're quirky, but like that's fine, but quirky is a very general word. What does that mean? What does that mean for you?
Mm. So I'm quirky in the fact it changes every day. I'm just what is good for me one day isn't good for me the next day. I'm quite I think I've been described as flighty before, but actually it's just lots of ideas and lots of focuses, and then I get hyper focused and
Yeah.
yeah, go down that rabbit hole. Um, I
Yeah.
can be yeah, I can be
So
quite I can be quite aloof and quite full on. Like I'm a bit of a like opposites, I suppose.
shapeshifter. Like what I would do if I were you with this one, because it still feels a little bit vague,
Yeah, I felt that. Yeah. Hmm.
just get a post-it note and write down the word "what makes me quirky"
Quirky.
and put it on your laptop or somewhere that you're going to be looking every day and just have a think about it every day. The thing about it is have a think and don't it's like when you're manifesting or when you're meditating, it's like it's not so much about finding the answer, it's about asking the question. And
Yes, it's that
you
and allowing it.
yeah, ask the
Yeah.
question, go, hmm, maybe something will pop in, maybe it won't. Then you go about your day, but something will pop in when it's ready to pop in.
Yeah.
Or like you'll be doing something, you'll go, "Oh, that's the thing." That you know what I
Mm.
mean? And
Yeah.
and you'll be like, "Okay." And then again, it's that you start bringing that into your content more. And you know, a really good indicator that you're on the right track with this one is that you might feel a little bit embarrassed
Yeah.
or ridiculous or like, am I really going to bring this part of myself in?
So
And also, you'll probably feel like, I don't know how to bring this in, right?
yeah, so
But
the magical thing is the thing that I'm like, people won't take me seriously if I show my magic, but that's the
there you
thing
go.
that people say about me the most. They
Yeah.
want to see more of it.
So, and again, it's not about you saying I'm magical. It's about you going at, like, again, on a post-it note, going, how am I magical?
Yeah.
Like, what are the things that people say to you? Like, what is it that you that you're doing or behaving like that makes you magical? What are the results that make you, you know what I mean? And like, let it filter through. But when it does filter through, capture it and go, okay,
Mm.
how can I put this more into my content? I'm going to give you my own personal example here. And it's going to seem like, okay, Lisa, how did it take you this long to get there? Given the point of this conversation today. But I was a performer for my whole life. And for the last 3 years in my coaching business, I have been teaching people from the perspective of being a performer and showing up on the online stage and shining behind the scenes in Zoom rooms when I'm coaching clients.
Mm.
But I hadn't been actually bringing this into my marketing, into my brand. I wasn't becoming well known for that, even though it was the thing that made me actually stand out most to my clients, right?
Yeah.
And I it's not that so, I would say probably a year and a half ago, I realized I need to bring this more in, but I didn't know how to, right? And I was kind of scared to, and I was like, I don't know how to talk about this. Part of it was because nobody else was talking about this. I hadn't actually seen many examples of, I was like, but nobody else is a performer who turned into a coach and and teaches from that perspective. So like, how do you do it? And the most amazing thing though is like, actually there probably are other people, but I just wasn't aware of it. But that is truly what makes me stand out and makes me
Mm.
different, is that there is really nobody else doing it that
Yeah.
I've heard of. So that's why this one is like, it can be tricky, but it's so well worth that little excavation of like, okay,
Yeah.
not enough to say I'm quirky, I'm magic. It's but what you have to do, if those are the two things that you need to bring more into your brand, into your online presence, it's like, get those two post-it notes and go, what makes me quirky? What makes me magic? And then
Mm.
start trying to find ways of applying that in. And it's not going to just go, you're not going to just go, oh, I have it. Great. Now I'm going to just apply it and it's going to be perfect. No,
Fixed.
you're you're going to be like, oh, I have it. That's it. And then you're going to be
My
like, but how do
post-it note.
my content? And then you're going to try and bring it into your content. It'll feel really clumsy, and you'll bring it into your content. And it might feel embarrassing, and you might go, "Oh God, that doesn't sound right." And oh Jesus, I don't think anybody's responding to this. And da, da, da. And this is the whole process. But this is one of the things that will make you stand out the most. This is the thing that will give you that shiny star power. And again, because it's not about you, it's about your ideal client.
Mm.
When you start showing like, I help people to, for me, like I help people to have star power, like that says more about you than it does about me,
Mm.
right? You, because you want star power, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm the solution for you, but I can't be the solution for you until you know that I'm the place to get it.
Yes, I love that. It's what they want, isn't it? And that's, I think, the thing about being magical is what my clients want as well. They want to be able to magically manifest. Um,
Yes.
yeah.
They want your magic. So you've got to find the
Mm.
way to speak about it publicly. And
I have
something
two
that,
post-it notes now. Can't see them because
something
I'm in the background.
amazing. Thank you, babe. I something else that helped me a little bit with this was bringing AI into some of my client sessions,
Mm.
just to kind of witness myself speaking about these things and go,
Mm.
oh yeah, that's how I talk about it. Oh yeah,
Mm.
you know what I mean? And it's like, because often we're not recording ourselves or watching ourselves back a lot of the time. We're just kind of going, well, I just kind of do it. Like it just kind of happens. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
I like that.
the next one then. Are you ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
I don't know if you are. I don't know if you are. I'm joking. Okay. So the next one is my favorite one, and it'll probably be the hardest one for you to answer, but you're doing really well so far. So maybe you will be able to answer this immediately on the call. The last one is your secret knowing, right? So, how I describe this is If you were already making millions, this is the thing that people would be saying about you. So you have a knowing about yourself right now that is internal, that is a secret, that almost nobody knows, right? That you may not have even admitted to yourself. And it's the thing, and this is kind of like this the magical fairy dust. It's like this is the thing that once you're successful and you've made millions and you're a big star and you're famous in your industry, everyone will be saying, she
Mm.
was the one that blah blah blah. Do you understand?
I do, and it's interesting because I had this knowing when I was very young and I didn't
What
really
was it?
understand it. So it's I'm here to help women change their lives and the world. Like it's about the world, bringing the balance, because the world's
Yeah.
out of balance, and bringing that balance and the start of something new. And that
Okay.
feels like aggressively huge.
Yeah. But I'm gonna like challenge you here because it sounds aggressively huge, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't use those words. I mean, I think but I think it's what a lot of people would say about their work, right?
Mm, mm,
Even the people who talk the talk and don't walk the walk, they're like, well, I just know
right.
this the world. However, it's this and this is a pattern for you, right? This is the thing that you need to work on, and you're not unique in this because there's most people need to work on this, right? But you need to get a lot more specific.
Yeah, I realized that actually when you were talking. Yeah, be
Yeah.
more specific. It's a good
So it's
start.
like what we were talking about, like with the quirky thing and the magic things, like what does that actually mean though?
Yeah. What does this mean?
Right? How is
Yes.
the world going to see you when you've already made it? You know, when people are like an overnight success and they're like, they just came out of nowhere, they just like they blew up out of nowhere. And that's never true, right? But the person who blows up overnight, the person who is the overnight success, they're always, without exception, somebody who had a secret knowing that they held steadfast all the way along while they were achieving, while they were failing over and over again, while they were like going, how do I do this? While it wasn't working, while it was working a little bit, they had this secret knowing. For example, like my secret knowing is that I will end up on the Watkins Spiritual 100 list alongside Oprah, Deepak, Gabby Bernstein, the whole gang, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so like, it's funny, like I, I don't know if I admitted that to myself at all until my somebody said it to me, a lady, a kind of psychic lady. I had a session with this woman and she was like, oh, you're a spiritual leader. And I was like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I'm not because people don't see me that way. Right.
Yeah.
But in my heart, I was like, that's exactly what I am. They
Yes.
just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, well, what would I know? What would have happened? What would be going on? What's the secret knowing? What's this? What is it? And I was like, okay, yeah, so I'm going to be on that list.
Mm, mm.
Right.
Love that.
I'll give
Love
you
that.
another example. So I had this client who, and for her, this was the secret knowing was the biggest breakthrough, I think. And again, like this is somebody I worked with long term. I worked with her for a full 12 months. She came to me because she was like incredibly gifted. Like she called herself a health coach, but she was actually a healer, and she was like curing a big, like very prevalent disease within
Mm.
a program that she couldn't really market because it was illegal to market,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it was starting to become well known. And she already had a bestseller book. She already had this program. She was already like had amazing results with people when she started working with me, but she was making about like 2 or 3K a month.
Mm,
It did not make sense.
mm,
And I was like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, I just can't say what I need to say because it's illegal to market my business for things that I would need to say in order to bring people in. And I was like, I don't think that's it, actually. I don't think that's it at all. And she's like, well, there was that time where I was like publicly attacked online by some of the biggest medical like head honchos in the country. And I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. And
mm.
I was like, okay, so there's obviously fear of like, the worst possible outcome. But I said this to her. I was like, well, what is it that, like, let's say that you suddenly had that impact and that income that you wanted. Like, I said, you should at least be making what? And she was like 30K, 40K, 50K months. I was like, okay, yes, you should be making at least 50K months, at
Mm.
least. Like now, not sometime like in
Yeah.
years to come, but like now. And she's like, yes. And I said, and you absolutely can. And she was like, can I? I was like, yeah, you can. If anyone can, you can. And she's like, well, what would I have to do? And I was like, it's not really as much about what you'd have to do. Obviously, there's always doing involved. But I was like, it's what you would have to know about
Mm,
yourself. It's about this identity shift in how you see yourself. And so I asked her, like, what do you think everybody would know about you if you were already making millions and you had hundreds of people through your program and they
mm,
were all benefiting from you? What would people be saying? And she was like, oh, I know what it is. And I was like, okay, what is it? So she's like, people would say that I was the biggest challenge and threat that there ever was to the way the medical system is
oh,
in this
I
country.
like that. I like that. That's exciting.
Yeah. And that for her was really exciting as well. And it felt like a mission and it felt like,
Mm,
but it felt like a knowing.
mm, mm.
The identity shift here is not just it's one thing to have the knowing. It's another thing to show up as if you fucking knew.
Yeah.
And it's not about like going, I'm gonna be the biggest challenge. No, you've got to prove it before you fucking say it. You can't like, Oprah doesn't go around saying, I'm a spiritual leader. She lets other people say that about her.
Yeah.
Right? But
Yeah.
she knows it. She knows it. So like with this, it's not about shouting it from the rooftops. It's about knowing it. It's about the identity shift that happens for you and how you show up when you show up with that knowing.
Mm, mm. Yes. I'm definitely feeling that. And part of me is almost a bit avoidant to say, like you, when, I'm not going to say I'm a spiritual leader, like say you want someone else to say, but you have to own that first, don't you? And then embody it, and then other people say it. So
And
I
you
need to
don't you
go,
don't you don't hear me going around saying I'm a spiritual leader
no,
either.
no.
I don't. But when people work with me, when people consume my content, like I've had people reach out to me just from reading my content and
Mm,
actually say, like, that shifted something very deep in me.
yeah.
Like, that actually felt really profound. That felt like a spiritual up level. You
Mm,
know, I had somebody tell me, like, that saved my life. Like, I was
mm,
not in a good way,
yeah.
And it's like, and again, if I look at my content every day, I'm falling really short, like really, really short. Like, and this is the thing that I'm really working on the embodiment of.
Mm,
I'm failing,
yeah.
right? But that's okay because I have my secret knowing and I intentionally bring it with me as much as I can. And my superpower lies within post-its.
Yeah, I'm a post. I've got post-its everywhere. Love them.
And I never used to believe in it at all because I'm
It's
not a
a thing.
I'm not a fan of like empty affirmations, like saying
Mm,
things that feel false that and telling yourself that they're true. But when you have excavated into your very soul and you find your truth, you've got to remind yourself of it every day because we forget that shit. We forget what we resist, right?
Yeah. It's funny that, isn't it?
So, and there's nothing like more that we'll have more resistance around than our very deep, deep, dark inner knowing, right?
Yeah.
So, in order to not forget it, we've got to put it somewhere right in front of our eyes. But when we see it and we recognize it as the truth because we've done the work, that's when it's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
Okay.
it's also about that feeling the resistance. And I say this a lot to my clients, especially in Wealthy Within, where we do a lot of shadow work.
Mm,
It's like where you feel that resistance, where you feel the urge to, where you feel that sicky feeling, where you feel like, well, no, that's just a self-indulgent. That's where you need to go deeper. That's where you need to be looking at it more all the time. And I literally, on my monitor, I've got post it, post it, post it, post it, post it, and I've added 3 more today. So, like, because it works, and where you feel triggered, that's where the gold is, right?
yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Mm.
So, what I would say to you as an exercise, apart from the post-its, right, which I like, as we say, like they're powerful, right?
We love a post it.
We love post-it. You've got a couple of conversations to have. You've got your post-its to fill out, right? And you've got your work to do in your online world, right? In your on
Mm.
your stage. Today, I want you to go through your social media and I really want you to rate yourself for the last week or month on a scale of 1 to 10. Are you showing star quality? My guess is probably not as much as you would like to, probably not as much as what you actually have.
Yeah, yeah,
And what I really want, and that's perfect, right? That is, and I could say the same thing about my own, right? But what I want you to do is actually look at that content and go, now that I know what I know, how would I change that today? What would I be saying instead? What perspectives? What would I be showing? What uniqueness? What incredible skills? What talents would I be talking about more? How would I bring my inner knowing more into my brand? You know, and really ask yourself, are you willing to show up as the version of yourself that you know in your soul
mm,
you were born to be? The version that everyone is going to see anyway after you've made it. Because this is the thing, it won't happen. That version of you will not happen. That success will not happen unless you actually put the cart before the horse, unless
yeah,
you have that identity shift and actually start implementing this and actually putting yourself out there in the way that you want to ultimately be seen once you've
mm,
made it.
mm,
And that this work means that you never have to ask yourself, who am I to XYZ? Because we've answered the question, who you are to
yeah,
XYZ, right?
yeah,
So now it's just a matter of showing up and embodying that and being so convicted in it every single day and making the decision to go from dreamer to doer,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
um and being so detached from the results having to show up immediately, but knowing without a shadow of a doubt that the results are inevitable once you're doing this.
And that's a big switch from scarcity to abundance. When we expect results instantly, we're fear based, aren't we? We're like, if it doesn't work, then that just proves it doesn't work, you
Uh-huh.
know. Whereas if we're like, like for me, it's just inevitable. The only thing that will change based on what I do is the timeline. If I embody this now, it will be a shorter timeline than if
Yeah.
I embody it in a year, 6 years, 10 years, or
And with
you know.
with embodiment, this is the thing, expecting ourselves to stay in embodiment 100% of the time is not a good expectation. It's
No,
not a realistic expectation.
no,
It's actually not a positive expectation because it puts
no,
us under too much pressure. You can go in and out of embodiment. You can afford
absolutely.
that. But it's the repetition, it's the getting back up on the horse. Like I joined the gym. I don't know. I started working out. at the beginning of this year.
Mm.
Um, Now I just at home for a little while to get used to actually lifting weights, and I was doing pretty well. And then I was like, okay, now I'm doing pretty well, but nothing much was happening because I was lifting like 1K, you know. But I was
Mm.
like, oh yeah, I kind of noticed a little bit more strength or whatever, but I hadn't changed anything else, right? But then I thought, okay, I'll go to the gym. It was May when I went to the gym. And in my mind, I was like, I'll go to the gym in May. By August, I had decided in my little head, by August, I'm going to be ripped. I'm going to be so lean. I'm going to be whatever. And
Yeah.
August, now again, I went to the gym, yes, but it didn't change any of my eating or drinking habits.
Mm. Mm.
And I was like, August came and I was like, nothing's happening. Like, honestly, I did feel better. But
Yeah.
what a switch went off, a bad switch went off when I saw somebody I hadn't seen in a while and I thought that they would notice a difference.
Oh.
We had a conversation about me going to the gym and they're like, "Oh, you're going to the gym?" And I was like, "Well, I would have thought it was obvious, like, you know." And I was like, immediately something in my brain went, "It's not worth it. I'm out. Oh, fuck this." Like now I was, oh, you've frozen for me. I don't know if I'm frozen for you. I'll wait until you're back. Eloise, you're frozen. I'm gonna just send you a message on Messenger. Okay, I think I'm still live, even though I think Eloise was kicked out. Um, so I'm just gonna finish up that story about the gym by saying that I was so discouraged by not seeing the results or by other people not seeing the results that I stopped going to the gym for about, I would say, 3 weeks. Oh, she's back. There, you're there.
Okay.
I just continued on with my story.
Thank
So,
you.
I just said there, like, I was so discouraged by nobody, like this person not seeing the results, that I stopped going to the gym for about 3 weeks, and I got a message from the gym instructor who, like, because I do the classes, right? So this is this one guy called Derek. Derek sent me just an emoji on Instagram going like this. And I was like, I messaged him back and I was like, yeah, sorry, I'm out of action. I was like, kids are back in school, and made a couple of excuses. He's like, yeah, everybody's kids have gone back to school and everybody's busy. And why are you not here? And I was like, okay, I'm going to be honest. And I just said, I'm not seeing any results. And he was like, okay, well, it's only been a few months. And I was like, yeah, but I'm working really hard. And he was like, are you though? And I was like, how dare you? He was like, well, we're coming to a 30-minute class 5 days a week. That's amazing. Well done, you. But he was like, have you changed anything else? And I was like, no, but like, I thought this would be. He was like, well, what are you eating and drinking? And I was like, oh, I eat like a pigeon. Like I am just, or not a pigeon, a sparrow. I was like, I don't eat anything, you know. It's like, send me your daily like things. Like how many calories ish? And I was like, oh, like 1,200, like nothing. And he was like, okay, send me your daily intake. And he's like, don't forget about wine. It's like, I hardly any wine. Anyway, so I did that, and he was like, so you think that's 1,200 calories? I was like, ish, yeah. Like I kind of added it up, and he was like, that is like almost 2,000 calories, which is absolutely fine if you're not trying to lose weight or like get that ripped look. But he's like, 2,000 calories for you. I'm 4'11", by the way. He was like, for you, you need approximately 1,500. But if you want like weight loss, you do need to be on 1,200. But he was like, right now you're not. And I was like, oh. And so I was like, right, okay, I've just been lying to myself. That's all that happened. And so I went back to the gym. I started actually being like a lot more aware of what I was doing. And suddenly I started seeing a little bit of a result. Now it wasn't like complete like night and day, like suddenly I'm ripped. But I was like, "Oh my God, this is what I teach all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
The way we do anything is the way we do everything."
Everything. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And it's really interesting when you notice that you've been lying to yourself and you're so convinced, aren't you? So convinced that you're telling yourself the truth, but I'm doing everything, but I am making time and I am doing the thing. And you're like, yeah, no.
Yeah, and I'm very like you as a coach, like I'm completely no bullshit. And so I will have clients sometimes say to me, because like, we all have clients who show up, they make the investment and they don't do the work. And they're
Yeah.
like, what's wrong with me? Why is this not working for me? And so especially if somebody says like, I want my money back, I'm like, let's have a chat first.
Mm,
Okay. And then
mm,
I go, okay, so what have you done? Oh, I've done everything. I've tried everything. And my assistant will pull up the records, even just
yeah.
from Kajabi, and go, okay, we can see that you actually have consumed 2 modules of the 120 modules. There's not
Mm,
120 modules,
yeah.
but you have watched one episode of this. We went through the records of the calls that you've been on. In the last 6 months, you've been on 3 calls.
Yeah.
you know like we had a look at your social media and we can see that you're not implementing the core pillars of what we actually teach. You cannot say that you're doing everything when you're not. And they're like, okay, yeah, no, that's true. I thought I was doing everything, but I was just doing all the things
That's
that
it.
I've always done.
Yeah, it's a genuine in their minds it's true, isn't it? Until we go, hang on a minute, is that true? Like I get that and I'm like, but yeah, like you, we can see on the system, we can see on the calls and things like that. It's like they genuinely believe that they're doing all the things.
Yeah,
But
because people are so busy running around in circles,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
repeating all their own patterns, and we need somebody
yeah.
to like be that
Break
interrupter
that.
and go, no, no,
Yeah,
no, no.
yeah.
The very best thing I remember when I started being a bit more of a hard ass like that. Like if there was a time when I was like, oh God, that's awful. And like what can we do to support you and blah blah. I don't do that anymore. I
Mm,
literally am like, what are you doing and what are you not doing? And you need to
yeah,
book up.
yeah,
Book up, buttercup, because this is not for everyone. But if you're doing it, you're doing it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, listen, like that. I think, like, just to finish up and round it off, like, none of anything that I have said has to be perfect. And in fact, if you're trying to be perfect, you're fucking it up.
Yeah, yeah,
If you're trying to implement anything perfectly, you've lost your voice, you've lost your power, right? It's about like going, I'm learning this, this, and this. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it as well as I can, but I'm gonna do it badly, and that's okay because I'll do it better and better and better. But here's the thing that is important. If perfectionism is not important, what is important is intentionality.
yes,
That's really it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's it.
I
Do you
don't.
have any questions?
I don't, but I've absolutely loved it, and the Facebook group have loved it as well. There's lots of interaction there. If you've got any questions, lovelies, just pop them in, and we'll give it a few seconds. But you know what? You're so right about like if you're doing it perfectly, you're doing it wrong. Like just do something to move the needle. That's what I always say. You don't have to have all your ducks in a row. I don't even think I have ducks. There could be all sorts of animals, and I don't know where they are. They're certainly not in a line. Like, but I still do it, right? And that's the difference. I used to wait until I was ready. I had all the things. I had 6 months worth, it just never happens. We've got to be honest with ourselves, and imperfect action is perfect. Like
I
it's
love
so
that.
much
Like,
more perfect.
if you're doing it perfect, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is like, I'm going to take that. I'm going to steal that phrase and I will be using
Yeah,
it
you
because
should. You
that is
should.
so, that is exactly what I believe.
Yeah.
Any time in my career that I have, and I mean in any part of my career, when I've been like, I am nailing this, I'm going to do it exactly right. I'm going to, like make sure I've got, as you say, all the ducks in a row. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Are the times in which I've done the worst work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
because it's just the energy of perfectionism is just so low grade.
It is. It's lack. It's lack.
Yeah,
Perfectionism is lack. And
yeah.
it's taken me years to be able to say that because I was a very proud perfectionist for all of my career. But yeah, it's lack.
Yeah.
Callie says, her ducks are like shenanigans and may her ducks like shenanigans and mayhem. That made me laugh.
I love
That's good.
that.
Everyone's saying thank you so much. They absolutely loved it. There's no questions coming through though. So thank you so much, Lisa, for taking me through that and
You are so
sharing your stuff. How can my people find you?
well. The best place to find me usually is on Facebook. So I'm Lisa Fox on Facebook, and I am running a free challenge on the first week of November. So I would love to share that link with you guys.
Yes, yes,
Because it's a six-figure star power.
yes.
So what we covered today, as I said, it's very focused on the energetics. In the 5-day challenge, I'll be able to bring a bit more of the strategy in alongside with the energetics. And it's going to be right now it's free. It won't be free forever. And right now it's limited as well. So like if you're interested in this, if you've loved this, your head is going to explode when we
Yeah.
do the challenge. So if I put it into the uh,
You
uh,
you pop it in the chat and I'll share it in the Facebook group because of
can you
how
see that here?
StreamYard works. Yeah, I can. Let me just grab this, copy that, and pop it in the Facebook. Rebecca says, my ducks sometimes swim around in circles instead of going down the right channels. Oh, that's funny. I've popped that in the group. So, any final thoughts, Lisa?
Final thoughts really are like it's more of a like a challenge. I really want to challenge you and everyone to put themselves out there and be as audacious and courageous as you can possibly be, because your gifts require that from you. You know, I had a conversation with somebody this morning who was like, if I could just get everybody to like, if you could put a million clients in front of me, I would be, it would be amazing. And even if like let's say, and I was saying this back to her, I was like, even if we had like somebody doing the sales and marketing for us, it would still depend on us showing up
Yeah,
with star quality to actually sell the shit out of our
yeah,
things.
yeah,
So like, and it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. You have to flex your resiliency and your courage muscles every day, but it's worth it.
yeah. That's what I say about business as well. Like you have to do the hard things every day, and then it gets a little bit easier, and then you get harder things to deal with, and it's one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been an absolute pleasure. I could talk to you all day.
Yeah, me too. Me
Yeah,
too. Thank you so much, Lisa. You have been an absolute star. I've dropped the link in the group. I'll just end
you.
the live. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we will see you very soon.
Amazing. Before we hop off, I just want to take a little
Oh, hang
picture
on.
of us. Hang on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool.